So quite clearly the foundation of the MCU is about to be shaken up, and just looking at the future, you see a lot of diversity. You know, you see Captain Marvel, Shang-Chi, you're gonna see a lot more of a diversification in films, regardless of what brand you're looking at. So let's talk about, I guess, Latino characters in the MCU and what they're gonna be doing and when we can expect them. Okay, so quite clearly, I guess, Latin characters in the MCU shouldn't be anything new. Specifically, if you look at the TV side, you know, Robbie Reyes, the Ghost Rider, he's played a significant part in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But people want to specifically talk about the movie side of things. You know, we see Shang-Chi, obviously, that's going to be a huge cultural impact for Chinese people. You know, that's going to be huge. That's why they're pushing forward with him. We see now with Aquaman and what they're doing with that. So obviously DC's looking into a market. We see what Black Panther did. We see what Wonder Woman is doing for females that love DC. We see what Captain Marvel is going to do. So it's really no surprise. And then you look at Sony's side of things, and we see Miles Morales having Spider-Verse and leading that, and that's doing pretty incredibly well, right? So naturally, recently, when just doing rounds of questions, anybody in the MCU you ask, Kevin Feige or the Russo brothers, they always say that you just kind of have to wait because there's going to be diversity getting injected into the MCU. And obviously, off the top of my head, I think it's quite clear which way you go. You have Nova, and I think most people will want to see Richard Rider because it makes sense because he's the older one. But then you have Sam Alexander, who's, of course, that's your in, right? So if you do maybe both Novas or part of the Nova Corp, it makes a lot of sense because then you can have more diversity there, including aliens, so that's kind of cool. On the other hand, there's plenty of other characters you can really tap into, and I'm assuming Sony's going to be the first to go with something like 2099 if Spider-Verse is anything to go by, which honestly Miguel O'Hara is pretty awesome, so that's a good way to push it. But in the core MCU, it really wouldn't surprise me if they also change up some characters. You know, for better or for worse, I don't know how they're going to do it. You just have to kind of wait. But at the same time, just looking at it, it seems to be the norm these days. So it's kind of like the expectation of when Namor finally arrives. Most people are expecting he's going to be Asian because that's how he's been drawn since literally most of his existence has been around. And I think this is kind of getting us ready for that inevitable merger with Fox because, as the Russo brothers have teased probably about a year ago now, when they first started talking about, you know, what they would do, they said when those characters come in, they're expecting huge changes and more diversity than we've seen before. Naturally, the X-Men give themselves to that, and you've already had these characters played by 2 to 3 different actors in some instances in the X-Men, and they've all been the same. So if there's one franchise, or 2 specifically, that lend themselves to diversity, it's probably the X-Men and the Fantastic Four. So I'm really not going to be shocked if you see some out of left field, you know, castings that nobody's expecting. And honestly, it's probably for the best because, let's be real, the Earth is moving forward and there's not really a whole lot of people hating the idea of it. I mean, there is, but if you're watching this, you're probably not against it. So you're probably a normal human being with normal, rational thoughts.